Good afternoon. I'm Mike Knewtson. I'm the older brother of Matt. I'm going to say a few words, which is probably you guys would think that's funny. It'd probably be more than a few words. I'll try not to ramble too much, but I have a few things to say. Okay, thanks. Matt, I want to give you guys a little story because I know most of you know him. First of all, before I start into that, I want to say thank you so much for this place. I know this place was special for Matt and for his family over the years. I know he had something to do with the sound system. Probably he'd be back there tweaking the knobs if he was here now, trying to make me sound better. And I really appreciated being here in the morning with you guys for worship. It was very special to know when our family, like most families today, is scattered all over the country. We can't be together as much as we want. It feels so good to know he has a church family here that was supporting him. So thank you for that. I want to say a bit about some things about why I think he went into the family business. And this is just because probably some of you don't know some of the stuff about our family that led to Matt being who he was, and I think you probably don't think that he came from generations of professors of theater, but I'll tell you why I think that he did actually go into the family business. My grandpa, Knewtson, has a farm, which my dad now owns, and if you go to that, when I was a kid, that was a magical place that Matt and Mark and I would go, and later the cousins all went there. And when you're a farmer in Kansas and working on a farm, if something breaks, you fix it. And my grandpa could fix anything with baling wire and twine. And probably, if any of you worked with Matt in technical theater, I imagine you probably saw some of those same skills come to play. Maybe it wasn't the same material, but I imagine he could fix probably anything. He got that honestly from the family, from working from a farmer who had to know how to do that kind of stuff. I work with computers every day. I don't do anything with my hands, but Matt was busy with his hands, working on stuff, making stuff. That was his life, and I think that's wonderful. Also, later on, my dad taught, when we were kids, my dad taught agriculture. He was a high school teacher. There was another magical place we used to go, which was the shop where the ag students would work. It was a really very dangerous place. It wasn't safe at all for kids to be there, but we would hang out. You could build things with metal and cut things with torches and stuff like that. And there was always big, complicated machines that were greasy and smelly in there. And it was a really amazing place to be as a small kid, to be around all that stuff going on. And I think probably that very much translated into Matt's world when he became a technical theater person later on. He loved that environment and recreated it there for himself later on. So from my dad's side, there was that. From my mom's side, well, Mom was the dramatic person in the family. She was always singing around the house. She also loved classic movies, which in our day were called movies. And I don't know how before we had tapes and things like that, but we watched Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, I don't know, 1,000,000 times somehow. I don't know how we did it, but he loved those old musicals, and we loved those old musicals. And Mom was into trying to bring drama before it was cool onto the stage, in churches as well. We did clown ministry, stuff like that. We did choirs and things like that. And later on, did community theater, and Matt was in The Ballad of Black Jack along with Mom when Matt was just a kid, and Mom was an extra. I think they both had not very important parts, but it was a great, experience to be right there in the theater and as a kid, getting that experience. And so from Mom's side, he was kind of going into the family business as well. And then you guys both know later, you probably know later, both Mom and Dad were ministers in the United Methodist Church. And Matt wasn't a minister in the United Methodist Church, but this was always a special place for him. And also, our family vacations when we were kids were always doing mission trips. And so he continued that by doing Appalachian Service Project here as well. So I think he did go into the family business. I'm quite proud of him. I feel that he really kind of took the best of of our family history and moved it forward in a really special way. I also want to say Matt was the youngest of the three of us. It was always Dean, Mary Alice, Mike, Mark, and Matt on all the family letters. It's 10 pages long. It'd be Dean, Mary Alice, Mike, Mark, and Matt. I think he didn't like that so much. I think he would have preferred Matt, Mark, and Mike or something else. But that's the way it was. You know, when he was really little, I remember, I hope I'm not making this up, Mark, but I think I remember one time him saying, like little kids do sometimes, you know, when I grow up and I'm older than you, then, you know, I'm going to get you because we fought and stuff like that. And I had to say, no, you're never going to be older than me, little brother, which is cool when you're little, but now it's not so great. But anyway, he over the years, you know, he did go first sometimes. He got a master's before I did. Matt and Stephanie started their family before I did. And unfortunately, he's also gone ahead of me to heaven now. Those first two are okay with me. The last one, not so much, honestly. Preferred he would have left that one, but it is what it is. I've been thinking a lot about, I know Matt was, I know what Matt believed. I know Matt believed 100% that he was going to be going to heaven, going to spend time with God there, and I believe he's there. But I wonder sometimes what that means exactly. You know, what it must be like, what it feels like, what it is. I don't know what he would be doing right now in heaven. Had a couple thoughts about that. One is from a reference to Dumbledore, which we were talking about at lunchtime, who said this great quote in one of the J.K. Rowling's book. He said, to the well-organized mind, death is just the next great adventure. And I think Matt had a very well-organized mind. Even after he had his stroke and wasn't as what he was before in his own mind, to me he seemed like he had a really well-organized mind. And I think he's on an adventure. So I think that's one way I think about what's happening with him. The other thing that's been on my mind is an expression. My wife is Brazilian, and there's an expression that Brazilians say to each other, that we say to each other now because I speak Portuguese with her. Before you go to bed, you say, "Dorme com Deus," which just means sleep with God. Sleep with God. But the expression really, what it means is, to me, is, you know, to rest in the arms of God. And those two things, I think he's on an adventure, and I also think he's resting in the arms of God. Thanks.